So with the recent release of GNOME 40, there's a lot of people that want to go ahead and install it on their system and test out some of the new features. Now, unfortunately, GNOME 40 isn't going to come to Ubuntu until 21.10 if we're lucky, but more realistically 22.04 LTS. Now, with that said, in this video, what I'm going to be showing you is an unofficial way to go ahead and install GNOME 40 on your Ubuntu machine. This is unofficial and there are issues with it here and there that you're going to run into. And I honestly wouldn't really recommend installing this on actual hardware or on your machine that you're using daily. In this case, I'm going to be doing this in VirtualBox. If you do want to do this on your actual hardware, I highly recommend you check out my time shift video and making sure you have a snapshot of your system before you go ahead and do this. Now, with all that said, I'm going to be using instructions that I went ahead and posted on TechHut.tv. Here is the actual article. Right here's the warning I just told you. If you go ahead and click on this link, it will take you to my how to backup and restore your Linux with time shift. Even if you aren't going to do this on your machine, I do recommend you check out this video anyways. The instructions are just right down here. And if you go ahead and right click on this little link, open in a new tab, this is a link to the actual repository for the PPA that we're going to go ahead and install. And you can see this is definitely not official. So now, getting to the actual tutorial, first thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and open up our terminal, and then we're going to want to go ahead and add the unofficial repository right here. So go ahead and give that a copy, paste that in, and type in your password. So now it's going to give you some information on the repository as well as some of the instructions here. We're going to go ahead and hit enter to add this. And then once it is added, we're going to go ahead and update our repositories. So we can just do that by typing in sudo apt update. And now we're going to go ahead and copy in this line right here. It's sudo apt install mutter gnome shell and a font that we're going to need. Because we added the new repository, it's actually going to go ahead and pull all of this from that new repository, which has the updated versions of GNOME. So go ahead and paste this in and hit enter. When you get this, you could quickly run through this. This is all the packages that are going to be updated. We can hit enter, which will select Y by default for yes. We want to go ahead and proceed and do this. Now this is quite a bit of packages, so depending on your internet speed, this will take anywhere from a minute to 10 minutes, once again, completely dependent on your internet speed. So now that this is done, we could actually check our GNOME shell version just by typing in gnome-shell version, and you can see the GNOME shell version is 40. So for these changes to actually take effect, we're going to want to go ahead and reboot our system. So you just type reboot into the terminal and it will go ahead and reboot your system. So now we are in GNOME 40, but one thing you're going to notice, so for example, let's try to open up the terminal here. So and you can see it's starting to glitch a little already. If I open up terminal, you can see all the icons are screwed up. Nothing quite looks right. So what we're going to need to fix that is actually go ahead and log out. The reason why I didn't do this initially is because I have this system set to auto login. So we're going to go power off, log out, and log out. If you don't have auto login, you can skip this step. Just when you go to log into your system, you're going to want to do the following. Click on your username, and then you're going to want to go down here to the bottom left to this little gear icon, and we're going to select GNOME on X.org. Click that. Go ahead and type in your password, hit enter, and then when you log in this time, it should work completely fine. What we just did, not completely fine, but it should work much better. What we just did was switch it from Wayland to Xorg. So now if I go ahead and go to my activities, you can see the background is how it's supposed to be. I could go ahead and search for the terminal and everything looks fine. It did change some of the theming, but we could go ahead and switch that back by going over to preferences, changing the theme variant to dark. That's just one example. It's going to change things in your system. So now we could go ahead and run that again, and we have GNOME shell 40. Now I'm pretty sure this doesn't show up properly in the about page, but we could go ahead and check. Yeah, see GNOME version 38.5 says there's a problem. Don't send. So you're going to run into issues. This is just fun to kind of check out. You see we are running the GNOME 40 shell. You switch between your workspaces like this. Everything's on the bottom instead of on the side. Open up files. Everything seems to work pretty good. But like I said a couple times, this is unofficial. I wouldn't recommend doing this on your primary machine, but it is pretty cool to go ahead and check out kind of what GNOME 40 is going to look like on Ubuntu. Obviously, the Ubuntu team is probably going to add their own spin. They're probably going to do the dock thing on the side or do some custom changes. Now, I know it didn't show up in About, but one thing we could go ahead and check. Let's see what Neofetch pulls. So we're going to our terminal, sudo apt install Neofetch. So now if we run it, Neofetch, enter, we can see that at least according to Neofetch, we are running GNOME 40 with the Mutter window manager, and it looks like our system's only using 564 megabytes of RAM, so it's actually pretty good for Ubuntu. That's unrelated, but that is pretty good. With all that said, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Just a quick little tutorial, something that I thought was pretty cool to check out. But with all that said, I do hope you all have a beautiful day. Please comment, rate, and subscribe, all that fun stuff. Check out my content over on Odyssey. Everything is synced up over there. And in my opinion, it is a superior video platform. Yeah, have a beautiful day and goodbye.